Welcome, everybody, back to Chicken Police, Paint It Red. Our last part, we figured out that Edmund's got a twin brother, Albert Wessler. Excuse me. I had a wee bit of a drink of Mountain Dew before I started this, so I'm a little bit burpy. Okay.
What do you think, Marty?
What? You care what I think? You must have hit your head pretty bad.
Stop fooling around, Marty. I'm serious. So what do you think about everything?
Well, I think we're in deep shit. But to be honest, Ibn Wessler is in deeper shit.
Do you think he really murdered his brother? But why?
No.
And what does it have to do with Natasha and the threats?
Doesn't add up yet. Something's missing. Let's visit the institution and try to find out what we can about this Albert Wessler fella.
I wouldn't believe that Ibn would kill his own brother.
Exactly. If he's the dead body, we've got to know what the motive was. If we can't, and if he's still alive, we gotta ask him directly.
And what do you think, Sonny?
I think Ibn, Albert, and Natasha are the three key players in this case, and that all of it has something to do with the brothel.
And the fact that Natasha used to be a... courtesan?
Yeah, that too.
Listen, Sonny, about Molly.
Oh, just forget it, Marty, okay? She's not part of my life anymore. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Forget it. Let's concentrate on the case, and on making it out alive, and helping Natasha, too.
Yeah, Molly was just, or at least her name was just thrown in there so that way Sonny would be on the case.
Whatever you say, Boss Bird. So you think Natasha's really in danger?
It could be, or she could even be behind everything.
No, you don't believe that.
I'm not sure what I believe, Marty. Let's see. Things got mixed up at the brothel.
Okay. Possible something got mixed up in the brothel. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Things got mixed up. Ibn found out that Natasha was a secret spy. Nope. It's a courtesan before, and Ibn tried to keep that a secret.
Natasha used to work there, that's obvious. And Ibn wanted to keep that a secret.
Ah, we already know that.
A secret, it seems, somebody else had to pay for.
Zip killed someone? No. Zip just took care of the body. Zip stole the wristband from Wessler. Stole the body, get the wristband. There it
He
is.
died for that secret. Zip hid the body, but he kept the wristband.
Wessler's
Who
twin.
could it belong to?
Family. Dead body.
The dead body was
That's
almost
that's what
certainly
we're thinking
Albert
it is
Wessler,
right now.
a resident of an insane asylum. But why did he have to die?
I still don't think that Wessler killed his own brother. If he truly... The only way I could see it is that he loved him so much he had to, but that still doesn't make sense to me. I already called the insane asylum.
So, I get the couch?
It'd be better if I called Lewis. He'll open up a room for you to sleep in.
Whew, great idea.
Alright. Oh, great. What was Lewis's number? 9, 2. Oh wait. No, wrong number. Wrong order. I got 5, 9, 3, 2. There we go.
Hey, Lewis, it's me again.
Oh, hello, Sonny. What's up?
Were you sleeping, pal?
Me? Oh, I wasn't. Anyway, I'm always at your service.
Would you open up a room for Marty?
Naturally, Sonny.
Thanks, Lewis. I'm not even gonna say it.
I will. You owe me one.
That's what, 6?
Yeah.
Somehow I'm keeping track. Okay. I guess all that's left now is go to the sane asylum. Chapter 4. Farewell, my lovely.
I slept like I used to sleep years ago. Like a miner or a soldier. Empty. Dead tired. Then I saw Tessa. My darling little daughter. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recall her face. I reached out to her, but she just kept getting further and further away. Then I saw Molly. But she wasn't real. Just the ghost of a memory. I'm here, I cried. But all I heard was laughter. Not hers. Who's there? Suddenly, she appeared. Natasha. Just stood there laughing. But her eyes were cold. Then she said something. Painted red. Painted red. Painted red. That was just a dream, Sonny. Nothing more. I looked at Marty and I saw the same thing in his eyes as he probably saw in mine. It's time to hit the brakes, to turn back, go home and forget about all of this. Of course, I stepped on the gas instead. Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything good, but this...
Ooh, just like a horror movie.
I was thinking the same.
Oh boy.
Appearances can be deceiving.
That is true.
Let's hope so.
Achievement unlocked. Out of the past. Oh, the mural's in color.
This picture...
It's very...
special?
It's colorful.
This guy seems strangely familiar to me.
You don't say. You've been treated here too. That would explain a lot.
Oh, don't be stupid. I'm serious. Take a closer look.
No.
Well?
No, it can't be. Are you telling me it's him? M.B. Davis himself?
I'm sure of it, pal. It seems the gossip was true. The eternal king of jazz in a madhouse.
Oh, no, no, no. The poor devil.
It doesn't matter how big a star you once were. Ending up lonely and crazy in a rotting insane asylum in the middle of nowhere is like the universe restoring its balance.
Oof.
That was very poetic of you, Marty. Almost deep. Careful you don't drown.
Cluck you. Like an angel from heaven, isn't she?
Yeah, half of her's still up there, I think.
That's rude.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Of all the great wild ones.
Oh, and she knows who Sonny and Marty are.
Greetings, miss.
Is it really you?
Well, yes.
Yes, it really is you. The chicken police.
I'll admit, this is pretty clever and funny that we can't see her face because she's a giraffe. And her name is Miranda. So we have Albert Wessler and we also have Miranda. I gotta see when I gotta recheck when this game came out. Especially since after playing Resident Evil 8.
I'm afraid so.
Of all that's furry and plumey, that's fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Miss, we'd like to ask...
Please please, don't be scared. I'm just really, really, really excited. You know, I've read every book about you and your adventures, and I even collected newspaper articles when I was a little girl.
Aw, another super fan.
Indeed.
You can't imagine what an honor it is to meet you in person.
We really...
Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Take a deep breath, Miranda. Take a deep breath.
Are you okay, miss?
Yes, I am. I just needed some air. So, dear detectives, Santino and Martin, what can I do for you?
Aw, she's nervous.
Well, miss, we have
Because
some
she's seeing
questions, if
her
you
heroes
don't
in the
mind.
flesh.
I'd love to answer all of your questions, detectives.
Achievement unlocked. Police Squad. Okay, I just want to do that so I can stop getting the notification.
Say, miss, what can you tell us about this place?
Our institution was standing even before the Great Meat War, and during the war, it was transformed into a military hospital. Since then, we're relentlessly working on treating injured minds under the leadership of Dr. Quetzal, the famous specialist.
Oh boy, a Quetzal.
The place seems pretty empty. Do many people work here?
We have 32 residents and 7 nurses, including me. We also have a 3-person maintenance and cleaning staff, and, of course, the heart and soul of our institution, Dr. Quetzal himself.
I see. Now, this Dr. Quetzal, is he the director here?
Exactly. Director, scientist, researcher, patron, and doctor. And even a friend.
Quite a guy.
He certainly is.
So who is this Dr. Quetzal exactly?
He's a world-famous researcher of the mind, Mr. Featherland. He published countless books in the fields of psychology and psychotherapy.
Psycho... what?
Unraveling the mind. It's the most crucial mission of the century, Mr. McChicken.
As long as we don't gotta go through any electroshock therapy.
That's really good to know.
Which is funny, considering that I'm trying to think in like some cases where, well, essentially like back in the day, like electroshock therapy would essentially mean you're good as gone, but that's just mainly because I think psychiatrics back then didn't really like know that there's a certain amount that you have to induce on the patients for it to work instead of just shocking the absolute shit out of them.
So this doctor's some celebrity, right? Does he usually meet other important persons?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, like Mr. Hobart Wessler, for example.
Ah, yes. That's something you should ask the doctor himself, but unfortunately, I don't think he has time right now.
Oh, I'm sure he can make some time.
He's swamped, is he?
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. He is very, very, very busy. All the time.
I thought so. Now, what can you say about this, miss? Have you seen anything like it?
Of course. Our residents wear these for identification. But how did you come by it? They only wear them inside the institution.
Huh. I see.
The wristband does belong to one of our residents. But I'm afraid I'm not allowed to tell you more due to regulations.
And probably without a warrant.
Oh, come on, Miranda. It's us, the Chicken Police.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Miranda, this case is a matter of life and death. Lives are in your hands.
Oh, cluck off, Marty.
All right. All right. I'll do it. Albert Wessler.
So that
The
was
patient's
it.
name is Albert Thaddeus Wessler.
Okay, so the dead body is Albert. Or they could have swapped the They could have taken a dead body and put his tag on it. You got to think of all the possibilities. Either that dead body is Albert's, or it was a random dead body that just so happened to have that wristband on him somehow. Because I find it hard to believe that those type of wristbands would just fall off the body as Zip was setting it down.
Figures.
Or carrying
Just as
it.
we thought.
Thank you, Miranda. We'll never forget this.
Please, don't make me blush. And don't tell anyone you heard it from me.
Deal.
Oh, we won't. I promise.
So when can we talk to Mr. Wessler?
I need to ask Dr. Quetzal. Please wait here.
Thank you. Even if you manage to escape, there's nothing but hills and forests for 100 miles.
Imagine how many poor lunatic ghosts must haunt those woods.
Ooh, Sonny, you're creeping me out. Huh. It does.
That was...
Cluck you.
We should go to reception first. Let them know we're here.
I did.
We need to let them know we're here.
I mean, I did. So I guess... nothing doing but going up the...
Dr. Quetzal will see you. He's waiting for you in his office. Up the stairs, all the way down the hall, until the last door.
What a surprise. It's enough to mention Wessler's name and all the doors are open.
And the important ones are gonna shut.
I wouldn't want to get mixed up in this, but do you think Albert is in danger?
Danger? What do you mean?
We haven't heard from him since he disappeared, and we're really, really worried.
Oh.
I see. We don't know yet, miss, but let's hope for the best.
Great wild ones protect him.
Where is he?
No idea, Marty.
The smell of all that's furry. I'll never get used to it.
Well, reptiles have a disgusting body odor, Marty, but they feel exactly the same about us. Exactly.
Of course, he's a snake.
Great wild ones, you scared the hell out of me.
I already sensed your arrival from afar. You know, snakes have a different sense of smell, and birds used to be our prey once upon a time.
Don't snakes smell with their tongue? You can feel free to correct me down in the comments.
Well, yeah. Luckily, we're living in civilized times.
Lucky. Please take a seat. How can I help you, gentlemen?
I don't know about taking a seat, but...
Your office is, rather Puritan. Simple, I mean.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, yes. I can't let my mind wander from my work. I only keep what's essential in my office.
I see. That makes sense. Is this cell like the others?
I would rather call it a room. But yes, it's like all the others, except there are even bigger ones than this.
Why do you have bars on your windows?
Because it's a room like all the others, and I'm just an animal too, like all our residents.
With the significant difference of you being a doctor and not a patient, am I right?
It's not as big of a difference as you'd think.
Okay, that's not what the dialogue said. It didn't match up with your words. How you spoke.
An isle of reason in a sea of insanity.
Insanity is such a strong word, and it's mostly an abstract idea. Where does insanity start, and how long is one not insane? Interesting questions. Am I normal, or are you maybe neither of us.
You see, that's something I think about a lot nowadays.
If you like, I can give you an appointment.
I'm good.
Oh, this is your chance, Sonny. Don't miss it. We're already here.
Marty, clock up.
To be honest, gentlemen, your visit is anything but a surprise. I could even say I was expecting it.
What an introduction.
Please forgive me. I have the bad habit of immediately getting into the middle of things. How very rude of me. My name is Dr. Sessuous Quetzalcoatl, but most call me Dr. Quetzal to keep it simple.
The name is Santino Featherland, and this is my partner, Martin McChicken, from
the Predatory Division of the Clawville Police Department. Your fame is one step ahead of you.
It always is, apparently.
We're used to it.
Certainly.
We have some questions about one of your patients, if you don't mind. We'd like to talk to him, if that's possible.
Please be specific, detective.
I don't think Albert's here.
Look,
In the
Doctor,
mansion.
we're too tired to play cat and mouse. Not that snake and chicken sounds any better.
Very funny, I must say. Just what I expected from you two detectives.
We know you know it's about Albert Wessler, Ibn Wessler's secret twin. Ever since we've said his name, all the doors have miraculously opened. That's what we call a bullseye.
Well, yes. Why should I deny it? We're talking about a rather illustrious patient here, who's also a very particular medical case.
Is Ibn going insane like his brother did?
Now, that's much more interesting. So, are you willing to talk about him?
Because Albert, regrettably, has disappeared, and you are police detectives, I have no reason not to talk to you. Of course, I'm at your service, but you must understand, I can't disclose information about my patients.
Of course.
Not even if it's a matter of life and death?
Everything's a matter of life and death in here, detective. This is a hospital, even if it's primarily for the mind, not the body.
Still, I'd like to give the impossible a try.
Please, detective, just do your job, and I'll do mine.
Something tells me I'm gonna probably have to start questioning this guy.
How long was Albert a
hoping I'm
resident
wrong.
of the institution?
For quite some time, his first symptoms surfaced in his teens. Depression, panic attacks, and schizophrenia.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that Ibn's afraid that he's gonna end up like his twin brother.
Was he brought here immediately after the first signs that something wasn't right?
You know, the biggest problem with an opinion on insanity is that animals are ashamed of it. That's the reason our institution stands out here in the middle of nowhere.
Because animals would rather hide what they're afraid to face.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
As far as I know, the Wessler family wasn't exceptionally wealthy.
Indeed, they were rather poor, but we offer our services gratis.
Then how do you sustain yourselves?
By the grace of the treasury of King Hector III, of course.
Of course.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
My family and the royal dynasty had always been on good terms, Mr. Santino.
I figured.
What kind of a place is this exactly?
We're gonna have to question
I
him.
assume it wasn't built as an insane asylum.
It used to be a mansion. Construction started during the occupation in 622. Then it stood empty for almost a century, until finally it went to the crown of Clawville when Hector's great-grandfather took the throne. The rest is history.
How long have you been working here?
I've worked here for more than 30 years. But it's been in my family's possession for almost 150 years.
So if I count correctly, as soon as it went to the crown, it was seized by your family.
That's almost accurate, Mr. Featherland.
What a lovely inheritance. Tell me, Doctor, do you know Madame Zavas?
Just like everybody else, I've heard of her. But I never had the pleasure of meeting her in person. I'm sure she's an interesting case.
You're just lucky you haven't met her.
Oh, you can be sure about that. I'd gladly get you two together if I had the chance. A spare cell would suit her very much.
Is that so?
As it turns out, she likes small, narrow, secret places.
Oh, I see. What a coincidence.
He's looking down at his watch.
Dr. Quetzal's a real mystery. But I can turn that to my advantage. I just need to focus on the strangest pieces of the puzzle. So when did Albert become a resident of your institute?
Albert and Hobart, or Ibn as you call him, arrived here almost exactly 4 years ago.
Could you describe that day more specifically?
Excuse me.
It was not long after New Year's Eve, maybe the first week of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It was sleeting that day. Wind was banging incessantly on the windows. The power was going out for short periods of time.
What was your first impression of them?
I already knew the Wessler name. I knew who they were. Or at least I knew one of them, Hobart Wessler. He was famous. Gangster, moneylender, celebrity, lover.
And Albert?
He was new to me, an invisible gray ghost. The family had tried to keep his existence a secret.
Not surprising, considering that if he started going insane in his teens, of course they'd want to keep that on the down low.
Why?
Because they were ashamed of him, of course, Mr. Featherland.
And
That's
I bet
how it usually
Ibn
is.
brought him to the sane asylum to try to see about him getting better, because the love of twin brothers.
What was your first impression of him?
He was silent, but observed everything that surrounded him. His eyes were constantly moving, never stopped for a second.
Was he afraid?
I wouldn't say so. It seemed to me that he wanted to move into our institution voluntarily. It looked as if he couldn't wait to be here, alone, locked up in silence and darkness.
Didn't you think of that as unusual?
Of course I did, but who am I to judge? It was rather special treatment.
Tell me, did Ibn threaten you in any way? What kind of... Did Ibn threaten you in any kind of way?
Tell me, did Ibn Wessler threaten you in any way?
Oh, he didn't really need to make threats. It wasn't in question. Of course we would treat his brother.
You seem like a professional authority, Doctor. One who is above these power plays. Then why?
First of all, because he's a Wessler. You don't say no to a Wessler. My vocation may come first, but the will to live is even more critical. We reptiles are survivors. On the other hand, I considered Albert to be a very interesting case.
So, you can... Yeah, that makes sense. You can't really say no to Ibn, and you were interested in Albert. It's kind of a win-win on either side.
How did Albert relate to you?
Albert was immensely sophisticated and polite, so much so that his true emotions and thoughts could not be deciphered.
And that's why you thought of him as an exciting case.
That's right, Mr. Featherland. I see you're starting to get to know me in some way.
I'm just doing my job, Doctor.
You and me both.
Hey. So you're telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
Are you telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
Ooh. So is it possible that Ibn is actually Albert, and Ibn is the dead body?
We found out very quickly that there was no
You gotta think of the
other
possibilities.
reason for the cause of his seizures. He had a cold and calculating personality who sometimes, especially on stormy days, took the reins over their shared mind.
Especially on stormy days. That's something to keep. That's something.
He had these seizures from the beginning.
Yes, Mr. Featherland, but they started to intensify after Albert left our institution for the first time.
He did what? Left the institution? More than once?
Oh, yes, Mr. Featherland. Albert left the institution on several occasions until the last time, when he failed to come back.
Quetzal's not only very observant, but he's addicted to details. I must focus on that if I want to get closer to the truth. Focus. Addicted to details.
Okay. So Albert could just walk in and out. How do Albert? When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time?
When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time?
It was about 2 years ago. Mr. Hobart Wessler appeared and demanded we let his brother go free. Naturally, we obliged. We had no idea if we'd ever see him again.
But you did.
He returned the same day. Albert was ecstatic. He was unrestrained. I could almost say happy.
That was unusual for him.
I had never seen him like that before, Mr. Featherland. He just smiled and stared at the empty wall for hours.
Did he ever tell you what happened to him outside?
Of course he did. Albert and I had a good relationship. He was working on a painting for his brother.
Okay.
Was it a painting of a lovely lady cat?
Oh, exactly.
Ah,
So you
ha,
already
ha.
knew about that.
Oh, so Albert's the one that made the painting of Natasha?
Yes, Dr. Quetzal, I've seen it.
Damn, dude. Did Albert tell you about his relationship with his brother? Did Albert tell you how he felt about the painting?
Did Albert tell you how he felt about the painting?
This I want to know.
From the first moment, he loved it. He was fascinated by it. But who could blame him? A little diversity, fresh air, a beautiful lady, and of course, on top of all that, he could finally do what he loved best: paint.
Which could be a surprisingly effective therapy.
It could have been. Unfortunately, these excursions have greatly intensified his seizures. They have become more frequent and extreme.
So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. Every time he came back, he was like a different person. But unfortunately, his seizures also multiplied and became more dangerous.
More dangerous.
Albert was hurting himself, and on one occasion, he even tried to hurt me. It was unprecedented. It seemed his confined personality was taking over their shared mind entirely, piece by piece.
Do you think the painting caused it?
Not the painting, Mr. Featherland.
The lady.
But its subject.
Exactly. He was obsessed. Right until that fateful day when he returned to us for the last time.
This is why I'm thinking that Ibn and Albert ended up switching places, and that Ibn is the dead body, and Albert is taking his place.
What exactly happened that day, Doctor?
But I think Natasha would have been able to see that out pretty easily. Maybe Albert found out about Natasha's past.
It wasn't Hobart who brought his brother back that day, but two of his gorillas. Not literally, I mean. And Albert was in a terrible, terrible state.
What happened to him?
I don't like to talk about that, Mr. Featherland.
It could be vital to the case, Dr. Quetzal. Don't back down.
Oh, you're right. There's no use turning back now. So, Albert's tongue was torn out, or cut off, I don't know exactly. And he was blinded in one eye.
Oh, never mind.
Or rather, one of his eyes was missing entirely.
Oh, did his own brother cut out... Did Ibn cut out his brother's own tongue and take out one of his eyes?
So you're saying Albert was brought back horribly mutilated?
Yes.
Okay,
And
well,
they didn't
there
give
goes
any
my theory out the window.
explanation as to what had happened. They simply told me it was some kind of accident.
In air quotes.
Dr. Quetzal is cold and professional, but he's also very confused. Maybe it's cruel, but I must exploit his vulnerability if I want to learn everything about Albert. Focus, confused.
Two fellows, did you describe them? Yeah. I don't believe Albert had an accident, is that right? Maybe it's not easy for talking about, but did examine his wound.
The two fellows who brought Albert back, could you describe them?
Those two fellas, as you put it, were two remarkably huge, rude men.
A ram and a bobcat, perhaps?
No, one of them was a tiger, if I remember correctly. He had a rather fresh bump under his left eye, and the other one was a penguin. But I've never seen a penguin that big in my entire life.
Ooh, buff penguin.
Did they tell you anything besides it was an accident?
They didn't say anything, but gave an obvious signal that I had to keep quiet about what happened.
I see. Pull yourself together, Doctor. What was Albert's condition after the incident?
Mind
Indeed.
your tone, detective.
Okay, that didn't
Sorry,
work.
Doc. I can see you're disturbed by these memories.
How could I not be? I'm not a monster. We're talking about a mutilated animal here.
So, what was he like after the incident?
Even more silent than ever. No surprise, I suppose. He was not only silent in words, but also in his soul and spirit.
Yeah, getting your eye ripped out and your tongue cut out by your own twin brother, I'm assuming, probably would do that to you.
What do you mean by that?
He never painted anything again, and his seizures completely stopped.
Okay, that's weird.
What happened then? How did Albert disappear?
A few weeks later, Hobart came to visit Albert one more time. Albert had been in terrible condition by then. We even had to transfer him to another cell, a more safe one.
Hatted, probably.
What did Hobart do during the visit?
He didn't do anything. He just sat and watched his brother, who was in an almost vegetative state by then.
Probably feeling regret and probably putting his own twin brother out of. He probably did a mercy kill on his brother.
Couldn't you manage to draw anything out of him? You or Hobart?
Nothing. For a while, he was trying to signal something. Perhaps he was too afraid. And most likely his fingers had been broken too, so he couldn't even write.
Do you think Hobart could have killed Albert?
It's horrible to say it, but I'm sure of it.
How did he disappear in the end? Did someone come for him?
That's what's most eerie about it all, Mr. Featherland. He simply disappeared. His door, which only I had a key for, was open.
Did anyone see anything?
No one.
Lock could have
We
been picked.
interrogated the staff, even the patients. He simply vanished off the face of the wilderness. We don't know what happened to him.
Unfortunately, I have a hunch. Thank you, Doctor. You've been a great help.
Indeed you have!
Well, I'm glad I could be of help.
So it's possible
But
that
I
it could have
now
been a
must
mercy kill.
attend to my work.
Considering that Ibn probably didn't want to see his brother in such a state.
We understand, Doctor. Thank you.
Probably would have been better off dead. And also just we have a hunch about what could have happened to him. Alright. Is there anything else I can add? Nope. Well. Doesn't look like I got anything more to go on here. Can't really leave here yet. So there's still something I have to do.
That's quite shocking information.
Oh, yeah, I probably should. I forgot. I'm probably gonna have to talk to the doc.
I think you understand why we kept it a secret. If it wasn't for Mr. Wessler's demand, we'd never let any of our patients walk freely outside our institution.
Then the accident happened.
Accident? Ha! We didn't believe it, not for a second. After Albert came back to us, horribly mutilated, he was different.
Different how?
If someone got one of his eyes poked out and his tongue torn out, he'd be different, but not like this. Albert was a different person.
We believe you, Doctor. So, can we take a look at Albert's cell?
I'd rather call it his room. Mr. Wessler lived in exceptional circumstances.
Thanks to the Wessler name, I guess.
Yes. Well, we try to make all of our patients stay as comfortable as possible, but Albert certainly enjoyed special favoritism.
I bet.
I hope you don't mind if we take a look around in there.
That's not going to bother anyone.
Well, that's, surprising.
I've never seen a cell like this before, that's for sure. I wouldn't mind living here myself.
Don't joke about that, dude.
It seems that being a Wessler gets you privileges.
Huh?
And a healthy dose of danger.
Yes.
Mostly that, yeah. Let's take a good look around. I'm sure we'll find some answers here. I can almost smell them.
Well, I smell paint, ink, plaster, some kind of oil, aging paper, slight smell of rat, and great expectations.
What the dickens?
Unmistakable. Yeah.
This place is bad for you, pal. But if you've already jump-started your beak holes, then sniff out the solution.
I'm on it, Boss Bird.
Jesus Christ. This is a fancy-ass cell.
The style. It's very familiar to me.
You've been lonely for far too long, huh?
Not funny, Marty.
It is, a little. So this is an original Albert Wessler.
I think so. It's pretty good, I must say. And I saw something very similar in Natasha's room.
You kept me out of it.
Sorry, little boy. Maybe next time.
You know, I don't think he had it so bad in here.
You mean apart from being separated from everyone you love in an ancient mansion filled with madmen?
You're right.
As always. Identical twins. And looking at it, they may have easily loved the same woman.
Yeah.
2 men and 1 woman. Nothing good ever comes of that.
Well, I wouldn't say that exactly.
Shut up, Marty.
Of all the wild ones, Marty, please, stitch up your beak, okay?
Just use your imagination, old bird.
I'd rather not.
Scribbles, newspaper articles, study papers, poems. Perfect chaos.
I'll be honest. I hear perfect chaos. My brain immediately goes to Sonic Adventure.
Just like the troubled mind of a troubled fella.
Yeah, but there's still a kind of order in it. It's just too intricate for you to comprehend.
If you say so, boss.
Chess pieces.
Look at that. A letter.
Got a couple of things here.
Identical twins. And looking at it, they may have easily loved the same woman.
Yeah.
Albert was madly in love with Natasha and would have done anything for her. I'm afraid he did exactly that.
Let me read that again. I know I don't exist. I don't exist because you don't see me, but I'm not what you think I am. You don't think about me, do you? Never. No. I think of you every day, every minute, always. In my dreams, I become one with him, one soul. You know who I'm thinking about, right? You can feel it. Can you feel that I'm right there too with you? Do you feel it, right? I can't hold it in myself for long. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Please, I'm sorry, but I can't help it. The world is crashing down. The whole world is just rotting and rotting. Everything is rotting around me. I have to get out of here and become one with my destiny and one with you. Forgive me. That's why I want to say the one brother killed the other. That's why I want to say Albert killed Ibn, but it could as well be the other way
Albert was
around.
What do you make of this?
Apart from the fact the guy was totally insane? I don't know. What should I?
That maybe we've been chasing the wrong person all this time, Marty.
What do you mean?
Everything will be revealed soon.
Why do you have to be so melodramatic all of a sudden?
If I'm right, this'll flip the whole case upside down.
What's that, Sonny? A blurb from some horrible novel?
I just have to think things through before I come to any hasty conclusions, Marty.
Ugh, you're killing me. So, what now?
Back to Clawville, where we can finally put all the pieces together.
You're driving me crazy. But all right, let's go home.
Oh, I didn't get to look at the mural. Oh well. Didn't seem like it was that important anyways. Yep. Back to the hotel. In the next part. I'm gonna end things off right here. So, thank y'all for coming by to watch this. I really appreciate it. And things are definitely getting interesting. So I hope y'all stay in tune for the next part. See where things go from here. But y'all know the jazz. If you really like this, hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not. Put a comment down below. That's what the comment section is there for. And I hope y'all will return for the next video. Until then, everybody, have a good day.